Okay, thank you for joining me today. My name is María Dolores Martín de Saavedra, and I'm an assistant professor at Universidad Complutense in Spain. Today, I am going to be talking about my serial teaching as research project that is about the impact of participation in the service learning program Movies Together to Prevent Disease. First thing, I'm going to start explaining what service learning is for those of you that might not be familiar with this term. So service learning is a pedagogical approach in which there's a combination between learning objectives and a practical experience for students that together with a service that is given to the community. It's not an internship because it has that aspect of serving your community, and is different to a volunteering activity because the learning objectives are aligned with the degree that the students are studying. As the outcomes for service learning, it has been described that this approach increases knowledge retention. It promotes academic success, especially in those students belonging to minorities. It increases student involvement with the communities, and it promotes empathy and compassion. I highlight empathy and compassion because we are going to be focusing on this for my project. Our service learning program is a voluntary program at Universidad Complutense de Madrid. This is the oldest university in Spain and is ranked third among the universities that are taught in Spanish-speaking countries. The students in this program organize activities around a movie that features a disease or a health-related topic, with the aim to inform people at risk of social exclusion. I will use this acronym throughout the presentation on different diseases and health-related topics. People are at risk of social exclusion are characterized by a lack of access or to certain resources or goods or rights that are normally available to the common population. And these resources include economical, cultural, political, and health-related resources. Usually, the students that enroll in the program are mostly undergraduate students, also masters, in pharmaceutical sciences, biochemistry, neuroscience, and other biomedical degrees. The aim of our program is to engage students in learning activities while we address the needs of people at risk of social exclusion in their local environment. We group the students in four, and they visit a particular center, and these activities are supervised by a professor. In this academic year program, we had 7 centers participating in our program that were led by 11 professors and designed by 44 students. Another aspect that is really interesting about service learning programs in general is that the students take the lead on what is done or what is not done. So they feel they have a sense of motivation added to the activity, intrinsic motivation added to the activity. Our program has different phases. First, we have some formative sessions in which different NGOs come and talk to the students about different communities. This is the aim of this is so the students get to know these people at risk of social exclusion better. And they usually come and talk about prisons, homeless people, or people with special needs. Then there's a phase in which the students do an internet search, including research papers, in which they try to detect needs and interests in the community or center that they are going to visit. After this, the students visit the center and they choose the disease or the topic to be covered. These are images from this year program. The students usually have PowerPoint presentations in order to identify what they want to talk about. No, I'm sorry that this is in Spanish. This is materials from them. So, but basically, the second illustration says, what topics would you like to deepen into? No, and it says vaccinations, pathogens, cancer, sexually transmitted diseases, etc. And we also designed this dice with different questions in each side of the dice. The objective of this was to break the ice with the users of the center and also starting to get to know them and also their interests. And it was another really fun one that the student designed this year, and this is a board game. It's called How Much Do You Know About Science? So after they perform these activities and they reflect on what they've learned about the center, they select and analyze a movie. In terms of what they analyze is what disease the movie features and the teaching or learning moments. They don't have to be scientifically sound. They just have to be useful as a teaching tool. And they can analyze it and say what is wrong or right about it, and all those things. Then the students go to the center again and they watch the movie and organize a colloquium or different activities in which they usually cover fake news, myths, or any question that the users or people of these communities may have for the students. This phase is the most interesting one because it's when the students get to interact more closely with the users, and the users usually share experiences in their lives that are really enriching, not only for the students but also for the professors that coordinate these activities. And then after all the activities are organized, we have a closing event at the university to wrap up the program, and we share our thoughts, what we've learned, and basically to improve our experience for the next year. And it's also like a sort of a celebration for all of us. So based on this, my research question for the START project was how if the students participating in the service learning program Movies Together to Prevent Disease develop an empathetic understanding toward communities at risk of social exclusion. As methods, we used a survey that was filled after finalizing the program with students participating in the program and their peers. And basically we used the same degrees where we found the students. We send the survey to their peers that are not participating. As part of the survey, we have demographic questions. We have a brief empathy questionnaire based on IRI, the Interpersonal Reactivity Index that was adapted for this program. The main difference with the classical IRI questionnaire is that ours is focused on empathy towards people at risk of social exclusion. And the other one, the aim is in general to evaluate the empathy that a person might have. So ours is more focused and is also shorter to make the survey easier to fill, and we don't lose people filling the survey. Then we have complementary questions in which we evaluate other aspects that are not empathy related. We have a free response, best and worst of the program. And then finally, a free response about how the program has impacted the student. As for the demographics, we have found that we have no differences between the non-participating participants and the service learning students. We have the key here. We found no differences in terms of age, gender, volunteering experience before the program, and the grade average before entering university. Here is a little bit different to the US, the classical GPA. We have grades until 14. And something interesting that you can see is that the grades are pretty high for the students participating in this program. And then we also asked the participants and non-participants their level of studies as in the moment they took the survey. And we can see that most of our students are undergraduates and masters, and there were no differences between, again, between non-participants and service learning. As for the first question from the IRI questionnaire, it was, I have tender concerned feelings for, and then we had people at risk of social exclusion, LGBTIQ+, or developing countries, people from developing countries. And we found no differences between the non-participants and the service learning students. We can see also that the Likert scale was pretty high for both groups, 4.2, 4.4. So the Likert scale goes from 1, and is low, to 5, that is high. So they were all really high. So we found no differences in all of this. We used people at risk of social exclusion and two other groups to hopefully, well, if we could discriminate between groups, like negative controls, so to say. Then the following question was, when I listen, what's the news? And they discussed topics related to people at risk of social exclusion, LGBTIQ+, or people from developing countries. I listened with a lot of interest. And again, we found no differences between the groups. And again, with numbers that were relatively high. Then another question was, when I see a person at risk of social exclusion being treated unfairly or ignored, I feel pity for them. Again, we found no differences with high numbers. Following question was, when I see or interact with people at risk of social exclusion, I feel like trying to help them somehow. We found no differences, and again, we found really high numbers. So still we didn't find any differences in terms of empathy. The last question from the modified IRI questionnaire was, if I interact or observe a person at risk of social exclusion, I can put myself in their shoes. And again, we found no differences. So in general, the modified IRI questionnaire that we designed for this project showed no differences in terms of empathy between non-participants and participants of the service learning program. Then we had in the survey some complementary questions. The first one was if the students felt that they were the levels of awareness and empathy towards people at risk of social exclusion. And here we found significant differences between participants and non-participants. Then we asked them about the knowledge they had on the difficulties and the struggles faced by people at risk of social exclusion. And we found highly significant differences between participants and non-participants, from 3.6 to 2.8. This is a measure also of empathy, so to say. So this the question was the distance that the students felt toward people at risk of social exclusion. Again, we found no differences. And then the intention that the students had to volunteer in activities related to people at risk of social exclusion. And here we found again a significant difference. With these results, we can say that participants declared to have increased awareness and empathy in some terms towards people at risk of social exclusion, reflecting increased knowledge on the struggles faced by this community and the intention of the students to participate in volunteering activities. But it wasn't detected with the IRI questionnaire. Then the three comments on the best and worst of the program. You can see in the first graph that the students really appreciated getting to know new realities. This was a question that was written by almost 60% of the respondents. They also enjoyed giving company and helping others, followed by feeling fulfilled and working with a group of students, the center, and the mentors that were the professor, the coordinating professors like me. As the worst part of the program, almost 30% of the students mentioned that there were very few visits to the center, and followed by the organization of the project. That 25% of the students thought that it could be better organized. So with this, we can conclude that participants valued the most the interaction with people at risk of social exclusion, helping others, and the way the activity made them feel. However, they found that the visits were too scarce. As for the free comments on the personal impact that the program had in them, I'm going to read a few comments from 4 students. The program has helped me have a wider vision on what other people struggle with. Spending an afternoon with them had a positive impact both in them and in us. These volunteering activities are very necessary in our degrees as they help us put a face on the knowledge we acquire, which is of vital importance. Very enriching. I would definitely repeat, it is a great opportunity to grow and learn from others. It's been a pleasure to have participated. I think it is a program that we all should do to open our eyes to the reality in which we live and as a method to improve our scientific outreach skills. As conclusions and future directions, participating in the program Movies Together to Prevent Disease gives students the valuable opportunity to interact with people at risk of social exclusion and opens their eyes to other realities. It increases students' knowledge on the difficulties faced by people at risk of social exclusion. The program has an impact on social awareness towards people at risk of social exclusion, but differences in empathy measurements have not been found with the modified IRI questionnaire. The program increases students' interest in participating in volunteering activities also. Increasing the number of sessions spent at the centers as desired by the participants will probably improve the participants' feeling of empathy, and probably increasing the Likert scale from 1 to 10 will help get a deeper analysis into these measurements. Further, I'm talking about modifications in the RRI questionnaire. Further modifications must be made to the modified IRI questionnaire to avoid limitations of self-reported questionnaires, like the social desirability bias. And then finally, I would like to thank you, Cyril at Northwestern, especially Samuel Lescott and Robert Linsenmeyer, for giving me the opportunity to take this program in the distance and adjusting the schedule of the classes for me, so I could attend from Spain, and then also the organizers of the program of the service learning program, Maria Jose Valderrama and Maria Linares. And I'm happy now to take any questions.